I'm gonna come clean. I'm a major overthinker, perfectionist, and I tend to be very hard on myself, constantly looking at what I could have done better versus what I did well. With that said, I believe each of those traits are both a gift and a curse. It just depends on how you allow them to affect the actions that you take every day. I recently came up with a few mental models that help me control those things and actually use them to my advantage. Build the plane while going down the runway. A lot of times with my business, I'll find myself waiting to work on something, launch a product, a new video, a new ad, a new script, and so on, because I feel like it's not ready yet, or I'm nervous that I'm not ready for the next step that comes after it. What I've realized is that nothing is ever ready or perfect. The only way to get it as close as it can be to that point is by launching it, getting feedback, and making adjustments. In the software space, they call it a beta or a prototype. When you launch the beta version of your software or product, there's always bugs in the system, errors, glitches, and issues that need to be fixed. But the only way to find those issues is to have real people use your software. Just as Reid Hoffman, who's a billionaire and the co-founder of LinkedIn, said, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. With that said, I'm someone who puts a lot of passion into the work I do and what I create. So I'm definitely not a fan of the idea of putting out something that I'm embarrassed with. But I also can't wait until it's perfect in order to hit publish. Otherwise, I'd never launch anything new or finish anything that I'm working on. Instead, I use the 70% rule, which is attributed to Colin Powell, the former US Secretary of State and a retired 4-star general in the United States Army. Powell's rule suggests that you should have between 40 to 70% of the necessary information before making a decision. The idea is that if you wait until you have 100% of the information, you're probably being too slow or cautious. So I always make sure to start as soon as I feel like I understand around 40 to 70% of what I need to know. And I hit publish as soon as I feel like I'm 70% of the way to perfection with what I'm working on. Now, aside from the fear that what I'm working on isn't ready or perfect yet, I've also struggled with the fear that I'm personally not ready yet. For example, when I first started my agency, the way I would land clients is through cold outreach. Specifically, I needed to spend hours sending 50 DMs on Instagram and around 420 cold emails every single day. The actual sending part didn't bother me. It was what came after that did. As ridiculous as it sounds, I was mainly concerned and worried about what I was going to say when a prospect actually responded. And if I was ready for a sales call yet, if my back-end system was ready yet, if I was ready to bring on clients, if I was ready to get results, and so on. But as soon as I heard someone say, build the plane while going down the runway, it clicked in my head. I realized that I'm not supposed to have everything figured out before I start, because the only way to figure everything out is by starting. Think of it like competing in a sport. It doesn't matter if it's football, snowboarding, racing motocross, or cliff jumping. You can't learn and become a pro at it from reading a book. It's simply not possible. The only way to learn and improve at any sport is by doing the drills, making mistakes, falling over and over, but always getting back up, making adjustments, and trying again. The same goes for business and pretty much everything in life. Now, anytime I recognize those thoughts or worries coming to mind, I remind myself to build the plane while going down the runway. Basically reassuring myself that it's okay to not have everything figured out right now. There will be issues or bugs in the system that will need to be fixed. I'm probably gonna suck at whatever it is that I'm doing, or whatever I'm publishing probably isn't gonna be very good. However, the only way to figure it out, fix the issues, get better, and become one of the best at what I'm doing is to start.